let's talk about the most important part of your book. Now, granted, a lot of parts are really important, like the characters, but there is one thing that sets off the entire plot that you absolutely have to have, or basically you don't have a book. It's the catalyst for change, also known as the trouble and the inciting incident. Different writing instructors call it different things, but I really like to call it the catalyst because a catalyst implies that something big is shifting and changing in the character's world. And that's exactly what this is. This video is all about teaching you what the catalyst is, how to use it, and actually how to make one big enough that you can create an entire book around the event. If you're doubting that you can do that, listen, I wrote 10 books in 8 years before I figured it out. And I learned how to do all that, and you absolutely can too. You might be asking, why do I even need this? I have these great characters and they have a great story and they're really interesting, and that is fantastic. But if they're not going to go through some kind of a big change in their lives, then they're not going to be forced to confront their internal emotional issues. We read books because we relate to the characters and we want to see those characters do the thing that we really kind of don't like to do, which is grow and change. Most of us kind of go through our lives with our own bad habits and bad behaviors and all of those things that we do that we know are bad, like eating cookies every single night when you know darn well you shouldn't be having sugar. Most of us go through life just continuing to do those things because none of us really like to change. But your character absolutely has to change. And why is that? Because we want to see them deserve the happy ending that you, the author, are working so hard to give them, which means they need to kind of grow up a little and go through some trials and tribulations in order to deserve that. And that's what the catalyst sets off. Every book has a structure that looks like these plot charts. It doesn't exactly mirror that, but it's very close. I've talked about this a lot in the plot videos, which you can start by watching this one here. And you have a choice at the beginning of your book. You can do one of two things. You can start right where the trouble starts, like boom, drop a bomb into your character's life, or you can start in their ordinary world and give the reader a little preview of what this character is going to be sacrificing in order to get what they really need. If you look at Shrek and Nobody and Taken, all of those have a teeny tiny bit of the ordinary world where the character is going about their day-to-day life. You don't have to have it. Some books, like a thriller or a mystery, start really well with a dead body on the first page because that's what the reader's expecting. It's entirely up to you as an author whether you want to include the ordinary world or not. When you do that, though, you want to give the reader a preview of what is important to your character. Now, if you choose not to have the ordinary world in the beginning, that's totally cool. If you want to get right to the action, that's awesome too. But before you do either one of those, I want you to do one thing. I want you to make a list of the 6 things that are important to your character. Talked about my rule of 6 a few times in different videos, but really when you go for 6, you dig a little deeper. So I want you to look at your character's life right now, before the book starts, and write down the 6 things that are most important to them. Is it their family? Is it their job? Is it their house? Is it taking care of their ill grandma? What are the 6 things that are really important? And then I want you to go a little deeper and go emotionally. If you've read or watched The Outsider by Stephen King, the identity of the main character at the beginning is like dad and coach of the year, like everybody loves him. He's that coach that all the kids adore. And then that is immediately taken away when he is accused of a horrific murder. So that's what I mean. This is what's important to him, and then it's taken away, and that is the catalyst. It's the aliens coming out of the ground in War of the Worlds. It's the aliens invading in Independence Day. It's the fairy tale creatures dropping into Shrek's swamp.
Oh, that's not very nice.
Those things are all catalysts for change for the character. Once you figure out what that catalyst is, what do you do with it? You use it to make the character face their deepest fears, their biggest anxieties, and things that they have not talked about all their lives. The secrets they're hiding, the insecurities they have, the questions they have about themselves as people. It's really all about forcing the character to grow and change. And that's something I talk about a lot in videos. And you can only do that by giving them a catalyst at the beginning of the book that threatens something that is important to them. So look at that list of things that you wrote down that's important to your character. And I want you to think about what's going to happen to this character if I take one of those away, or I threaten it by maybe having somebody kidnap his child. That's the plot for the series Eric on Netflix. In Eric, the disappearance of his son in the very beginning of the series forces the dad to suddenly confront all these things he's just been ignoring, like his alcoholism, like the fact that he's on his last legs at his job, like the fact that he's been failing and his marriage is falling apart and his family's falling apart. All these delicate house of cards things that he's been kind of keeping balanced, just barely, all fall apart the minute his son disappears. That kind of catalyst is super powerful in your book. That's what you want to create. Once you have that thing that you're going to take away or threaten for your character, I want you to make another list of six ways that things can go really sideways. I don't think anybody watching Eric in the beginning of the series expected that the dad would end up passed out on drugs and in the basement area of the subway tunnels. So that was kind of a left hook that came out of nowhere for the viewer to sort of say like, oh my gosh, how is he going to get out of this one? That's the kind of thing I want you to come up with. 6 ways that things can really go sideways. You don't have to use all 6, but I want you to kind of think outside the box. Really reach for that bigger idea, that one that really takes things to a new level. If you look at any of the movies that are super popular, any of the books that are super popular, they make things so bad for the character that you think there is no way the author or the director is going to solve this. But here's the thing, I totally believe that your subconscious drops all the clues as you're writing your book, and you will be able to solve it. And if you're struggling to put all your pieces together after you've laid out this amazing plot, come to our live streams on Fridays, because you can ask me a question right then and there. Once you have your catalyst and you have all these ways that things can go wrong, I want you to think about how you're going to make your character face their fears in every single scene. There's going to have to be something that makes them face those things that they've been ignoring, that house of cards that they've really built up in their life that is all falling apart now. They're going to have to pick up each of those cards and look at them and determine, am I going to change? Am I going to become a better person? Am I going to confront these things? Am I going to share that secret? Am I going to become the person that the reader really roots for, that the reader's going, you got this? That's what you need to create, because when you do that, the reader is so in love with the story that they can't wait to read the ending. It doesn't matter what genre you're writing, because it's all about that emotional connection. That's what makes people talk about books. And if you want to know more about how to build that emotional connection, then watch this video here, because that really tells you how to delve in deeper to your characters and make them incredible.